Hey guys, super happy to be here once again on our show, the TradePod. And today, this podcast is all about bringing you a new insight on the fintech industry, especially on cryptocurrencies and so on, from a man who I really appreciate. And I met him at a conference talking about regulation within the crypto world. And then we had a small conversation talking about cryptos and I invited him to the podcast and it's an incredible privilege to have you here today with us. So Noam, how are you today? Again, it's a great privilege. I love those kind of conversation where we do not like especially targeting them to talk about trading in particular, but talking like about the fintech industry and about what's really going on. So let's let the audience to have a much proper understanding about how everything is like driving itself, and it's an incredible opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure is ours.
I don't know much about trading, so that's not my not
That,
my
that's
forte.
that's why I invited you. We wanted to bring something else,
I
something
wish
that
I wish I knew more. I'd be a little bit richer, I hope. But
you can listen to our podcast. Yeah. So,
fantastic.
before we dive deep, I know you, but the rest of the audience don't. Please be free.
All right.
Talk about
So my
yourself.
name is Noam Kaplan. Um, I'm a CPA, an accountant by trade. I've been working with KPMG for a little over 13 years now. This is where I started my internship and I moved on within the firm. I started my professional career in the accounting department, doing financial statement audits for financial institutions, banks, credit card companies, etc. I did that for almost 4.5 years or so, including 2 years on rotation with KPMG in New York, in Manhattan. And when I got back for the last 8 years or so, I've been leading the forensics practice here at KPMG in Israel. Forensics being everything from um, financial crimes risk management and advisory work, all the way over to actual investigations using various analytic tools and forensic methodologies and tools. Um, and for the last 3.5 or so years, I've been leading the crypto and blockchain analytics practice within the forensics practice here in Israel, and advising a variety of clients from the traditional finance, banks, other financial institutions on how to manage their risk around adopting various types of crypto related activities, as well as um, crypto native companies, which don't typically have a lot of understanding of the regulatory environment that has been forced on them, and so managing and maneuvering within the regulatory environment, which isn't always very clear and straightforward, and everything in between. So bridging between kind of the DeFi and the TradFi, so to speak. And that's me.
First of all, super. I wanted to catch up, like in the previous phase of your career before you transition to crypto and like helping more than a handful of clients, especially non-native crypto and native crypto. Speaking about scandals within forensics, what do you mean? Like if like I saw I'm not aware of this industry at all, to be honest, but I saw a couple of economic crimes over the years. If it's stock running, made of Wall Street, major companies like Wirecard, the German company who was a complete nonsense in terms of crime. Like it's more of a science fiction than being an actual realistic crime. And there is a bunch and many more stories to tell about like crime within the financial industry. I think that there happen on daily basis. Now, being involved
Not
within,
only in the financial industry. So in the forensics practice, um, fraud risks or fraud in general, fraud, embezzlement, money laundering,
exactly,
terrorist financing, etc. So money laundering, terrorist financing is more closely associated with the financial industry. But fraud and
terrorist
misconduct and
financing.
embezzlement, it is relevant for all types of companies. We've had clients, real estate companies and development companies and high tech companies and low tech companies, and we've had clients from all over where we had to do various types of investigations, forensic analyses. It could be embezzlement of by a say a bookkeeper or finance department person. It could be um, accounting fraud, so misrepresentation of financial information within the financial books and records. So it could be a wide range and a variety of types of instances or scenarios that we would typically investigate. And we do a lot of advisory on how to manage risk, how to avoid or prevent or reduce risk of such incidents as well.
Mhm. Now, speaking about those forensics practice scandals, and then transitioning into crypto, you might have a really interesting point of view over Sam Bankman-Fried and everything that happened on those occasions. Now, I would like to first of all, a little background about Sam Bankman-Fried. Please fix me if I'm not putting the things
Mhm.
properly. But Sam Bankman-Fried um, opened an unregulatory transitional market to trade cryptos, and
Mhm.
over the years, this business was valuated for a bunch of for a bunch of money, and fast forward, we understood that there is a massive fraud over the years within that type of business, and he and his colleagues went into jail for a long period of time. Now, from your perspective, as a man who investigated those occasions and fast forward transition to crypto, I would like to hear more about your perspective within what happened there and
Sure.
your
So
analysis,
obviously,
basically.
I wasn't involved in that investigation, but obviously, I enthusiastically read about it. But I guess the FTX scandal is a good example because it's even though it is, so to speak, in the crypto space, it's not a crypto scandal. It's not a crypto based fraud. These types of frauds have been perpetrated by financial intermediaries for decades. I mean, basically, if you really kind of boil it down, what he did is he used customer funds that he should have been safeguarding with a fiduciary duty, and used it for other stuff, whether it's investments in very high risk enterprises, or buying land in the Bahamas, or I don't know, donating funds to political activists or political candidates. So at the end of the day, even though the origin of the funds were crypto activity, crypto deposited in the at the exchange by clients, it could it could have been fiat uh, as well. So it's not a true crypto native type scandal such as, for example, various um, bridge hacks or things like that, where that are more kind of associated with the technology and the risks associated with the technology. So
Mhm.
it has been kind of wrongfully pegged as a one of the problems in crypto, but really it's a decades old fraud and embezzlement of customer funds at the end of the day.
Mhm. Now, well, there are tons we spoke about, like various of various type of crimes scandals within the crypto and native money businesses in many kinds of embezzlements. But I would like to talk about something that we as Israelis uh, touches, and I think it's transitioning and transitioning money and importing and exporting tons of money through cryptocurrencies uh, for fundraising tourist activizations.
Mhm.
I think, you know, out of my point of view as an Israeli, this is a mess. And of course, that out of your perspective as a man who actually um, who's actually living the regulatory world behind
Mhm.
cryptocurrencies might catches your heart even more than it catches mine. Now, I would like to understand out of your standpoint that first, what causes those problems to occur? Who actually detects those circumstances when I don't know state transporting money onto another state for the activation of tourism for tourism occasions, and how do
Mhm.
you actually take care of those occasions on your standpoint?
Well, so it's a good question, and it's an interesting one because again,
But I was
crypto,
right. It touches your
Bitcoin.
heart. It touches your heart. I was right.
Well, yeah, obviously, we're all kind of affected by it, but I think even today, the number one means of funding terrorism around the world is not Bitcoin. It's still the U.S. dollar. But Bitcoin it has become Bitcoin and some other popular crypto tokens or coins have become more popular lately um, to be used by various terrorist organizations or activists. Um, but one thing they're finding is that it's not as safe and private as they might have thought. And there's a lot of activity both by the kind of defense, the military and other defense organizations to track and track down and confiscate accounts and things like that. Um, and there are also some civilian kind of organizations that are helping kind of identify and track these types of funds, and it's easier than tracking a suitcase full of $20 bills. So in a way, it kind of emphasizes the pseudo anonymity of Bitcoin, where at kind of the early days it was seen as a completely anonymous. We can do whatever we want. Nobody will see what we're doing, and very quickly people learned that it's not as anonymous as they may have liked. And there are a lot of examples in the um,
Yeah,
earlier
but speaking
history of Bitcoin.
of anonymously, obviously it's much easier than as you said to transporting a $20 bill suitcase crossing the ocean. Now,
Mhm. But you still
I,
but you still have to cash out. So it's not very easy to pay terrorists with Bitcoin because they can't use that
They can
Bitcoin
purchase
to
anything with Bitcoin.
purchase
They need to
almost
transition
anything.
it to US dollars.
So they still have to cash out, and that's still a significant issue that they have found solutions for, but it's just not as easy as it sometimes seems.
So what do they do? Basically, when somebody transfers you money, you can convert that Bitcoin onto US dollars and conversely. Now, what do they do when they have a big transportation of cryptocurrencies and now they transfer them to US dollars because actually you can purchase nothing without with having Bitcoin on your end. So
Exactly.
detecting those kind of occasions might solve the issue. But
That
how do you do
that's
it
exactly
practically?
where the a lot of the tracking effort is focused on is that transition the off ramp which has to occur eventually either on an exchange such as Binance or whatever any centralized exchange or if you're a little more sophisticated than a lesser known intermediary or broker which can also kind of cash out. But again, it's that's a friction point that allows those who want to track and stop those transactions uh, provides an opportunity for that. It's
Mhm.
not to say that it's completely easy and foolproof. Proof obviously a lot comes through or goes through without being detected. Um, but it's definitely that
Unfortunately.
definitely creates an additional kind of difficulty in the process for the terrorists.
Out of your experience within the crime space within crime space frauds etc. that you pass over the years, especially when being in the United States, I might think that one story really catches your brain till today. Now, I would love if you can, of course, if you're able to share with us the story so we would be able to learn from it how everything took off um, from that particular story. It would be great.
Wait, so I think I missed what story are you referring to?
So actually, I'm asking if you have in mind an experience that you had within the fraud and fraud detection that you can share with us today.
Well, so in the crypto space, I think the vast majority of what we do kind of on a day-to-day basis is not so much the actual frauds and the likes, but more um, performing various levels of due diligence on funds to actually ensure that they're not associated with such unwanted activity. So most of what we do is actually kind of the other side of that coin, which is um, ensuring that funds that are being eventually deposited into the traditional financial space or industry are actually funds that are not associated or not originating from those types of activities, whether it's frauds or money laundering or terrorist financing, of course, and things like that. So we don't on the crypto side of our day-to-day activity we're less focused on investigations, more on due diligence and ensuring legitimacy of funds. So I
Mhm.
don't have a specific kind of example of an actual kind of fraud case in this space.
All right. Sounds fair. Now, going fast forward in time, transitioning to crypto, um, what led you to the understanding that you want to have, they want to consult clients, native crypto companies or non-native crypto companies, and what was the greatest entrance of your characteristic to the world of
Sure.
crypto.
So one of our kind of areas of expertise has always been the financial crime space. So money laundering, primarily. Oops, what happened? Oops, sorry about that. Give me a second. There it is. So anti-money laundering, risk management, etc. And since we are also very active and have a lot of experience in the investigation and forensic investigation space, we have a kind of a very kind of technological aspect
Then,
of a lot of the things we do. So the combination of the technology and the money laundering, or anti-money laundering, more to the point, and what we identified back when we kind of started kind of developing the crypto practice within the forensics was that there was a lot of friction. There still is, but less so. A lot of friction between the Web3 space and the traditional, both financial and regulatory in general, space. And so we kind of felt that we were in an interesting position to kind of help reduce such frictions. So on one hand, help the traditional financial and regulatory spaces better understand um, the crypto space and the risks, but also how to easily or effectively mitigate the risks, as opposed to blanket disapproving the activity altogether. And on the other hand, the traditional crypto um, companies who were not accustomed to regulation or financial regulation specifically, and again, being in a very kind of unique position to be able to bridge that gap between these two very uh, interesting and very important um, um, industries. And so when we identified that kind of issue or that difficulty that both sides were having, and we're able or we're getting to the understanding that the Web3 space as a whole is kind of here to stay, and that it has a lot of um, interesting advancements that could be instrumental for everyone, for day-to-day life. Um, we what's happening with my camera? Sorry about that. We kind of understood that this is a a gap that we can definitely provide significant value to both sides in this bridging of the two spaces. So me and my colleagues kind of felt that it was a kind of a natural development of our overall offering and value proposition that we can bring to the table.
mhm. Speaking about native crypto companies, that would like to have your service, um, in a matter of that they need some compliance and regulations assistance, especially when we me and you met at one of the events for regulatory occasions. We uh, what really catches my mind is what happened from a point that a native company that need an assistance or a specific kind of regulation solution, that is of course a native crypto company. What kind of service KPMG and you and your team actually offer, and how you can help me to solve this issue?
Sure. So I can probably divide my answer into kind of two or three main kind of areas, which are obviously very, very much related. But first and foremost, just understanding the various financial regulations that, even if they don't directly apply because the company isn't uh, technically a financial institution, but certain types of regulations, especially anti-money laundering related regulations,
How do you detect
are
those kind of occasions, anti-money laundering? I think how do you reflect when such an occasion really occurs on your, I don't know, detection system or something?
well, so our our objective is to help the client avoid ever being in a place where they might be suspected in assisting such actions. So we help with anywhere from designing policies and procedures and processes, and designing various types of controls that can be put in place to ensure that the policies are being followed, whether it's the kind of the typical KYC processes, understanding who your clients are, who your vendors are, who your other business relationships are, and ensuring that you don't associate yourself or engage with third parties that you might not want to have engaged with if you had known that they are engaged in those types of activities. But also very importantly for uh, like Web3 companies that have some sort of token distribution or generation and distribution, then there are various safeguards that can be put in place to reduce. Again, they can't eliminate it completely, but reduce the risk of of ultimately being accused of being used for various money laundering schemes and things like that. So various checks that you can do, that you can run over potential investors, or significant vendors, people that you're paying with your token, um, to ensure that your actions won't, after the fact, be um, associated with those types of activities, with money laundering or other unwanted kind of bad actor type of activities. So it's designing policies and procedures, but then also, again, as I said, kind of helping bridge the gap with the traditional financial industry. So
I would love
helping.
to ask you, Noam. I would love to
Yeah.
ask you, as of your standpoint of a man who works for KPMG, working closely to the regulation in the cryptocurrency world, I think it's a hell of a challenge. And in some occasions, you might nail great failures, and on other occasions, you might nail great successes. Now, what's the the major challenge that you face each and every single time you want to help a company to pass certain regulations?
Well, I think, and I talked about this quite a bit yesterday in a webinar we had. I think
You should have sent me the link.
I should have. I apologize, I didn't, but I'll get you a link when
I would
when
not
we
forget
post
about it.
the recording. But I think one of the main challenges is helping these types of companies these are tech companies, right? These aren't banks. These aren't financial institutions. These are tech startups.
Yeah, they have
And the
yeah,
main
they have an
challenge
angel ability.
the main challenge is helping them understand that while they are a tech company, they still have various exposures to financial activities, whether it's their actual payment of funds to different third parties, or financial activity that they enable with whatever solution or tool or product that they're developing. And so just getting them to understand that even if these regulations aren't directly addressed at them, that they have um, significant incentives to take them under consideration and design their processes around or with these regulations in mind, in order to
Mhm.
again help mitigate the risk of them
This is
being
so
in
important, the
being
way
in
to move
trouble,
fast.
or not being in trouble, but just at the end of the day, these companies also have bank accounts. They need access to fiat funds as well. So being able to, at the end of the day, use this crypto that either the tokens they generated or crypto they received from clients, from other third parties, and being able to eventually cash that out and help them show the bank that the source of these funds is clean, so to speak, or legitimate, and therefore should be accepted into their bank account. So these are challenges. I mean, the banking of the Web3 industry has always been an issue with companies that are not succeeding in opening bank accounts. Banks are refusing their business, and so being able to show that you're both aware of the various regulatory expectations, but also actively addressing and managing those types of risks can significantly reduce friction and issues down the road when they want to interact or do business with the banking industry.
Let's talk a little bit more about Web3 and the technology that stands behind Web3. Now, for a background, now I wanted to bring on some exact background on what Web3 is. So I would read it out from Wikipedia,
Mhm.
if you don't mind. So Web3 is a new iteration of a World Wide Web, which incorporates concepts such as decentralization, blockchain technologies, and token-based economics. This is a distinct from Tim Berners-Lee concept of semantic web. Some technologies and journalists have contrast with Web 2.0, wherein they say data and content are centralized in a small group of companies. Sometimes they refer to big tech. Web
Mhm.
3 is coined from a co-founder, and its idea and main idea gained interest in 2021 by cryptocurrency enthusiasts, large companies, and venture capital firms. Now, I understand that transitioning from Web 2.0 onto Web 3 was a was really a change of an era. Um, and the greatest interest from decentralization and blockchain technologies onto Web3 really enables, you know, those small startups, small cryptocurrency groups, and even much larger companies to move faster, and to bring value rapidly. Now, out of your understanding of Web3 and your interaction with this new technology, not new, but in terms of nowadays,
Fairly new. Yeah.
LLMs are incredibly old. We're waiting for the next great advantageous invention. But Web3 really enables a bunch of innovation and blockchain technologies to get involved onto this platform. Now, out of your interaction, I would like to know um, what really causes Web3 to be a super successful platform for onboarding new companies onto, and what really reflects Web3 out of the other solutions in the market that really catches the brains of the world's most smartest people, from venture capitals, companies, and so on and so forth.
So, I mean, look, I think the Web3 industry has two very different, but also very important uh, advantages or even goals. First and foremost, long before Web3, right? When it was just Bitcoin, the number one, I think, advantage, but also one of the main kind of objectives, was um, bringing the financial industry, financial capabilities to everyone, and quickly and cheaply, right? Banking the unbanked, enabling people everywhere to kind of be able to interact financially, even if there's no bank who's willing to take their business and open an account and give them a credit card or what have you, right? And that's obviously a very significant advantage and objective of this industry. But it has greatly evolved from that into what we call today Web3. And that's all kinds of innovative technologies based on blockchain technology. Not many of them, not even really crypto, but blockchain. And using the technology, the speed of transaction, the security, the privacy, and other various uh, components to more kind of advanced usages. And I mean the kind of the hot ticket these days, or in this bull run, so to speak, is the what we call the real world assets, right? And there are various use cases that are kind of being more underway or under development by various teams on how to utilize this very strong, secure, fast technology for various other usages that are not purely financial. They're not transactional, so to speak. And so I think that's kind of the next big thing. And in a way, again, it's kind of detaching, so to speak, from crypto, from what many see crypto as being kind of a way to invest and make a lot of money on returns and things like that, but rather utilizing the technology for something that's more um, real world. Um, so I think again, those are if I have to kind of categorize, those are the two main significant advantageous usages. And what we're all, I think, very very excited to see where these things will go. Um, I think the
Out of your standpoint as a leader, of the crypto, let's call it community here in Israel, and a man who intervene with a variety of companies daily, I would like to ask from your perspective, speaking about advantageous innovations onto Web3 platform, what might be the next greatest thing on 2025? Let's sort of speaking about about innovations. I would like to ask you of what will be the greatest invention to insert, and out of your perspective, what do you understand to be the greatest innovation onto the platform is like completely separated things. Now I would like to understand what would be great, and on your opinion, what would be great as an additional technology onto this Web3.
well, look, I mean, obviously, if I actually knew what would be the greatest, the big great thing,
You would do it.
sorry, wait 1 second. I don't know what's wrong with my camera.
No, never
Uh,
worries. Sometimes your camera turns off because
yeah, I really don't know
um
what's going on. But anyway, look, I don't know, but I think as I said, the kind of the kind of the hot thing right now, and I really understand why it's that hot, is this the concept of world assets on the blockchain, tokenization of real world assets, and basically using the advantages of blockchain technology for usages that are not purely financial. I think we kind of got the financial side covered, so to speak. Obviously, there can be way more adoption and things like that, and we see that kind of moving along. It's maybe not at the speed that we might have wanted, but that's happening. But on the technological side, that's not purely financial, but just utilizes the technology that underscores kind of the financial side as well, which is the blockchain technology. Um, I think this whole concept of tokenization is going to really take off.
Mm.
And there are going to be more and more successful use cases um, of the various aspects of tokenization. It could be for land registries, which we've already seen. We see companies doing very interesting things around the world on land registries and marketplaces for real estate on the blockchain, which allow both the regulator, the land uh, uh, regulator, to be able to kind of manage and oversee the activity, but still allowing um, the various users and stakeholders uh, um, to interact, proof ownership, etc., using the blockchain kind of infrastructure. And there are other various use cases. We've seen some more successful and some not so much. But uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Attempts at making or utilizing such use cases for whether it's stock and bond marketplaces, basically bringing the traditional investment space onto the blockchain and utilizing the security and the speed of clearing and transactions and things like that. Again, utilizing some of the significant advantages of this technology for markets that already exist and have existed for decades, but now can become more efficient, more global, etc. So I really think that um, aspect or that main use case of tokenization is really gonna take off this year.
Hmm. Super. So, it's always for me as an entrepreneur, it's always a pleasure to ask professionals what's the next thing they think would be the greatest next advantageous innovation. Um, and I agree when you actually put in proper the tokenization process and you really transforms the data in a really speculative way that first enables you to transform it properly and secondly would not harm the other people who intervene within the process would be awesome. Now, I do have one last question, if you don't mind. Um, in terms of crypto of the crypto community in Israel, what do you think would be the next thing here in Israel? What do you think that might catch the big fish? And what's going to lead the next biggest trend in the cryptocurrency here out of your perspective, leading the crypto community here in Israel?
Well,
Or what
I think
enabled to do that?
yeah. No, look, the Israeli market is interesting because on one hand, uh, we have a lot of very smart kind of innovators. There are a lot of crypto and blockchain or Web3 based um, enterprises or ideas and developments coming out of the Israeli tech industry on one hand, but then on the other hand, the companies and individuals are having a lot of difficulties, a lot of friction. We talked about this earlier with succeeding, with growing, with scaling these types of operations, with kind of cutting through red tape, which is everywhere. And so there are a lot of very interesting projects in various stages of development in Israel and in the Israeli ecosystem. And we really hope, and we've seen some steps in the right direction, so to speak, of clarifying the regulatory environment. There has been over the past few years a lot of uncertainty as to what you can and what you can't do, what will be accepted, what won't, and how, and who your regulator is, and what he expects of you. And so if we're able to clear that uncertainty, and I'm optimistic. I think it's going in that direction. That then we'll see a lot of we'll see a significant boom of new projects and new innovation coming out of the Israeli Web3 industry.
As always,
I'm optimistic. I hope I'm right.
me
But
either.
there is a lot of potential. There are a lot of very smart people who want to develop very interesting ideas. And hopefully the government or the regulatory environment in general will be smart enough to 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 get out of the way, not disappear. Obviously, there are various risks that need to be managed. There are users that need to be protected. That's all very important and can't be discarded. Um, but 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 we should also be able to allow these innovations to develop.
This is your role,
And at the
man.
moment, we're making
This
it,
is
or
your
not we,
job.
the country, the government is not making it easy, unfortunately. But hopefully
Elsewhere,
that'll soon kind
elsewhere.
of loosen up.
We need more and more and more innovation, and not and let the guy let the startups and the aspiring entrepreneurs to move
Innovate.
on. Do not
Yeah,
choke them. No
exactly.
governance choke innovation, except in here. I'll stop my opinion. All right, mate. No, it was a pleasure having you here on our trade pod.
My pleasure.
Um, yeah, to be honest, it was a really exciting conversation. In some occasions, it was challenging because it's not the place that I came from. But to be honest, you explain everything and you nail all the information you need down to the point. So I really appreciate it. It's not obvious,
Thank you, Brian.
and I really appreciate your participants. And thank you for being here.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. All right. Bye bye.